It isn't easy being the child of a rock star, but the story of Mackenzie Phillips takes the hardship to a new and horrifying level. This is the history of Mackenzie Phillips' rape and incest allegations against her father, John Phillips. Let's jump into the details right away, shall we? Early life. Born on November 10th, 1959, in Alexandria, Virginia, Laura Mackenzie Phillips has led a troubled life. She's the daughter of John Phillips, who was the guitarist for the Mamas and the Papas in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Her stepmother, Michelle Phillips, was a vocalist for the band, along with Denny Doherty and Mama Cass Elliott. At the age of 12, Mackenzie followed in her father's footsteps by forming a band. Shortly afterward, she was spotted by a talent agent and won a part in the hit 1973 film American Graffiti. From there, she launched a successful career as an actress. At 15, she landed a role on the television show One Day at a Time as Julie Mora Cooper Horvath, which brought the young actress fame and a hefty salary. But behind the scenes, there were signs that Mackenzie's success was having a negative impact on her. She began struggling with substance abuse and was arrested for disorderly conduct in 1977. Her behavior on the set became erratic, and she was subsequently fired from the show. Mackenzie Phillips's drug problem resulted in 2 near-fatal overdoses that led her to enter rehab. After briefly rejoining the cast of One Day at a Time, she relapsed and collapsed on set. Once again, she was let go. Mackenzie Phillips' huge family explained John Phillips was a folk rock singer-songwriter who was best known as the leader of the Mamas and the Papas, his band with second wife Michelle Phillips, Cass Elliott, and Denny Doherty. The original incarnation of the California Dreaming Group was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998. Cass died of a heart attack in 1974 at 32. Denny passed away in 2007 at 66. John had a son, Jeffrey Phillips, in 1957, and a daughter, Mackenzie Phillips, in 1959, with his first wife, Susan Adams. They were married from 1957 to 1962, after which he immediately married Michelle, with whom he had a daughter, Chynna Phillips. Michelle, who was 18 when they tied the knot, stepped out of a dream, John wrote in his 1986 memoir, Papa John, a music legend's shattering journey through sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But they divorced in 1969, the list of extramarital activities long on both sides, including Michelle's affair with their bandmate Denny. There'd be so much sexual energy between Denny and me that we'd be playing footsie under the table, Michelle told Vanity Fair in 2007, and Cass and John didn't notice. And there was one serious incident of domestic violence with John, she said. I ended up in the hospital. That's all I'll say about it. In 1971, John welcomed their son Tamerlane Phillips with model actress Genevieve White. They wed in 1972 and had a daughter, Bijou Phillips, in 1980 before divorcing in 1985. John wed fourth wife Farnaz Aristey in 1995, and they were together till his death in 2001. Shocking revelation. After leaving the show, she toured for several years with her dad, John Phillips, and Denny Doherty as part of the new Mamas and the Papas. According to her autobiography, which was released in 2009, there was something dark going on behind the scenes during this time. The actress alleged in her book, High on Arrival, that when she was 18, she woke from a drug-induced blackout one night and her father was having sex with her. The next day, Mackenzie told her father, "We need to talk about how you raped me." Seemingly puzzled, John Phillips replied, "Raped you? Don't you mean we made love?" She also said that she took cocaine with John when she was 11. From there, the two entered into a long-term sexual relationship. It didn't happen every day, it didn't happen every week, but it certainly happened many times, Mackenzie explained to Oprah Winfrey. "I adored my father," she told Oprah. "I waited for him over and over again. I was constantly trying to get his attention, and this deep, visceral need to get his attention. Cover it with heroin, cocaine, alcohol, marijuana, barbiturates, everything you can think of. Over time, your perception of things, and as they should be, the world as it is, the rules of society become warped and twisted." Also during that time, she was performing with John, Denny Doherty, and Spanky McFarlane as the Mamas and the Papas, interactions of the group continuing after Cass Elliott's death. During a September 24, 2009, Today appearance, Mackenzie called John a good man who did the best he could, saying, "I have great compassion for the man that he was." The incest continued for 10 years, she wrote, even after she married her first husband at 19. Mackenzie gave the impression that the relationship had become consensual over time, but that there was an imbalance of power at work. She likened it to a form of Stockholm Syndrome, where she came to sympathize with her abuser. Drugs seemed to have played a part as well. During the time in question, both used drugs regularly, according to Mackenzie. "On the eve of my wedding, my father showed up, determined to stop it," she wrote in her autobiography. "I had tons of pills, and Dad had tons of everything too. Eventually, I passed out on Dad's bed." Mackenzie Phillips claims the relationship ended when she became pregnant and wasn't sure if it was her father or her husband who was the father. According to Mackenzie, John Phillips felt that the two were in love. He even suggested that they run away to a country where people wouldn't judge them for their relationship. But to Mackenzie, the relationship was the source of a lot of mental anguish. She claimed that she has spent decades trying to repair the damage that it caused her emotionally. Moving on, support and rebuke. Having died in 2001, John Phillips was never able to respond publicly to the explosive charges made by his daughter. Mackenzie's half-sister, Chynna Phillips, said she believes the claims. "Was he actually raping her? I don't know," Chynna said. "Do I believe that they had an incestuous relationship and that it went on for 10 years? Yes. Am I exceedingly joyful that my family secret that I told maybe my therapist, my husband, and my very best friend in the whole world is now public? No," Chynna told Oprah Winfrey on an episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show. But two of John Phillips' ex-wives are skeptical. "John was a good man who had the disease of alcoholism and drug addiction," his third wife Genevieve said. "He was incapable, no matter how drunk or drugged he was, of having such a relationship with his own child. You should take with a grain of salt anything that's said by a person who has had a needle stuck in their arm for 35 years. Michelle Phillips, John's second wife and fellow band member, told Us Weekly. "The whole story is disgusting. I understand Mackenzie's need to come clean with a history she feels will help others. But it's devastating to have the world watch as we try and mend broken fences, especially when the man in question isn't here to defend himself," another of Phillips's half-sisters, Bijou, said in a statement. Since telling her story, Mackenzie Phillips has tried to put her past behind her. She's still working in entertainment, but she's also spent time focusing on helping others who are struggling with drug addiction as she was through books and counseling work. Those explosive allegations were 14 years ago, but time hasn't made them any less disturbing to contemplate. Mackenzie said recently, however, that she has chosen forgiveness, though the now 64-year-old also acknowledged that might be difficult to understand for those who have remained, or are newly, horrified on her behalf. "I get a lot of criticism and a lot of trolling online for having forgiveness in my heart," she said on the November 29th installment of half-sister Chynna Phillips' YouTube series California Preachin'. "Forgiveness, because forgiving is for me, not for the other person. And forgiving doesn't mean I co-sign or agree with what I'm forgiving him for. The situation is very, very complicated," Mackenzie added. "And yet, I am at peace. We do not condone such crimes and wish well for the affected people." And that's it for this video. Please click the like and subscribe buttons down below if you found this shocking. To make sure you don't miss any uploads, tap the bell icon. Share the video with all your friends and family members. Provide all of your feedback in the comments section. We'll see you in the next one.